A very good morning to all. In today's session, we are all going to learn about the marketing research and its related applications. So let's begin with the introduction. What is all about the marketing research is or the market research. Market research is a very systematic and organized process that how an individual or an analyst or a researcher could obtain, analyze, and interpret the data for making up or to reach out the meaningful decisions or the actionable decisions. So while conducting a good market research, it is very important for all those learners and individuals to survive in a competitive market if they must overlook the emerging market trends, the consumer behaviors, the market condition in order to survive in a particular competitive environment in a particular market. So it is, in other words, I could say it is also a process that how an individual could collect a little information or you can say gather a more and more information about the organization, about the company vision, mission, what are its target audience, what could be the market scenario and the competitive analysis. So through market research, the companies can able to understand their target audience more and more better. They can able to produce and create the better products. How and even to is to improve their user experiences and the user's perspective. And accordingly, they will design the marketing strategies to reach out their own objectives or actions. Market research is also determined if there is any demand or the ongoing demand for any product and services in which the company is actually offering to its clients or the customers in the market. So whenever they need to conduct any research, two main sources of market research will be carried out. That could be the primary sources and the secondary sources, which is really needed to conduct the marketing research. Digital marketers are more involved to use the marketing research, after all, to have a growth and development in their own business activities or the business operations. Therefore, sometimes it is very important for the third party firms which also provides the support and assistance to the companies, to the digital marketers or the agencies who are required to complete their market research. So this is an overview of the marketing research or market research. Now we can come up to a case of marketing research. Let's take an example that there is a coffee shop in the Bangalore, Karnataka, who is going to conduct the survey to understand the customer preferences for a new beverage offerings like a new iced coffee flavor or any regional you can say coffee so that they can add up in their menu development and the marketing to improvise their marketing strategies. So let's break down more and more detailed information. We need the particular survey is mainly being conducted in order to understand some problems, some concern related to the coffee shop in Bangalore or Karnataka. So the coffee shop is wants to expand their menu. They want to attract more and more target audience, but it also need at the same time it also need to concentrate or to understand what is the target audience actually wants. So there is a research, this particular coffee shop has conducted a research plan or conducting a research on this particular issue or the concern. The first thing is target audience. It identify the what type of customers they are actually searching for, who can frequently visit the coffee shops. For example, it could be the students, it could be the officers, it could be the office workers, it could be the families, etc. Then accordingly, they will conduct a survey questionnaires That means they will conduct the questions in a very organized manner in order to understand the preferences for the new beverage flavors, any preferred sweetness, whether they want any desired added into a particular new you can say variant of the ice or a iced coffees you can say flavors, like for example to add-ins like milk, any milk alternatives, any syrup which makes it sweet level. So in order to make up the understand what the actually the target audience wants, they conduct a survey, they can list it out the questionnaires, and accordingly they will understand the preference level of the customers who are actually visit frequently in a coffee shop. Like for example, office workers, officers, students in a particular college or university. And accordingly, what the next plan is sampling. Sampling means that how to collect. It is very important to decide for the organization and of course for the coffee shop to collect the responses like in order to visit in-store surveys you can conduct or the online questionnaires through the emails or you can reach out to the customers through online through emails, and in order to understand that how many people are actually willing to participate in that particular survey either physically or the online. So this is accordingly a research plan to be conducted. A research is to be conducted and how to solve a particular problem or how to concentrate and understand what the target audience actually wanted. Next is data collection. So as the research plan, under the research plan, data collection and data analysis are equally relevant. You can see the variance in a particular market research. So the data collection refers that it distribute the survey and collect the responses as much as possible to get the actionable decisions for to resolve the particular problem or in order to understand the particular concern which are actually what the target audience actually wanted. Next one is the data analysis. So once analyze the survey, the results are to be finalized in order to identify the trends and the patterns in knowing up in understanding the customer's preferences level. And when we talk about the list of the questions, so this is all about the how you design the questionnaires in a particular market research that is related to the coffee shop in the Bangalore or Karnataka. So this is a type of the question that you can design the questionnaires by following up these questions. That is, what is your favorite type of coffee drink? Would you be interested in a new iced coffee flavor? And what flavors would you like to see? Any preferred milk preferences to add on in a particular coffee or a black coffee is to be needed? So what are your preferred sweetness level? It could be low, medium, high, very high. So these are the questions which the particular researcher could able to design so that they can collect the responses from the various customers or the participants who are actually willing to participate to resolve or to understand their preferences level. So accordingly, once we get the responses, once we analyze the results, when we analyze the data and get the results, so the action now there is a time to take up an action. So based on the research findings, the coffee shop can develop a new beverages which always cater the new preferences, how they will adjust the marketing strategy so that they can target the right type of audiences, and of course when they target or identify the right type of audience through the results, the research findings or the research results, then they can improve the overall experiences of the customers in that in aspect of coffee shop in Bangalore. So this is a case or this is a case study which is related to the marketing research, that how could you make up a research plan, how you design the questionnaires, and then come up with the action plan. So this is a case study which is related to the marketing research. Now we can come up to the next section, that is the need and importance of the marketing research. First one is that marketing research provides a valuable data. It also studies the consumer behavior. It also, you can say, assist the suitable sales promotion techniques, how they will supply the market related information to the companies. It also helps the organization and how it evaluate the marketing performance quarterly, monthly, or yearly. It also, you can say, gives a miscellaneous importance in the others fields which are associated with the marketing. So let's get an overview one by one about the need and importance of the marketing research, why there is a need to do a marketing research, what is the significance of the same concept. So let's begin with that. It provides the valuable data. That's very true that marketing research provides a valuable data not only for the researchers but of course for those people who are actually taking up valuable decisions for the company related concern or the company related issue. It also provides the data about the demand, about the market, about the customers' preferences, about their behavior, about their buying decisions, about about the competition analysis, etc. So this data, whatever the data actually this marketing research provides to the researchers or the decision maker, such data will be used to take up an actionable decision making. And in this way, it will improve the quality of the decisions, and of course, and that decisions after conducting the market research, that decisions will be very successful. Next one is it studies the consumer behavior. Marketing research is also provides the data about the consumer's preferences, about their satisfaction level, about their attitude level, about what their likes and their dislikes towards a particular company product. And it also a survey about the consumers' opinions and the views which are coming up about the new products of the company, about the existing products of the company, or any or try to improvise the product according to the views and opinions of the customers by the organization. So this type of data is also used to make up a production and the marketing policies in a particular you can say organization. Next one is it selects the promotional techniques. The marketing research is always helps the company to select a suitable sales promotion techniques or the and they can also apply the marketing techniques and how they will select a proper and accurate media for advertising or for their new products. And of course, whenever they face any problem related to the media, the marketing research you can see come in a particular way so that the problems of the after sales service or the before sales services could be rectified or could be resolved. So it also helps to prepare the budgets for such advertisement expenditure and what would be the expenses incurred for promoting the products in a particular market. It also supplies the market information or the marketing information as through the concept marketing research. This concept always supply the data about the market scenario, whether it would be the present or the past. So this market related data is almost used to find out what would be the present and the future demand and supply position, what would be the level of competition, and what steps and process to control such concern in a particular market, what the market opportunities are available, so that through the research a particular organization will get to know, so that the company could drive and open up a new areas, open up a new product in that particular market. So the cause of and what were the reasons and why there is a falling trend in the sales level, in the revenue level of a company. Next one is it also evaluates the marketing performances. That's true. The marketing research or through the marketing research, it also helps the company to evaluate the marketing performances and to take up an immediate steps to improve such performances. So it automatically related to the effect of the prices and you can see the product packages, the brand name, and the packaging services on which are actually done on a sales. So automatically, the one of the main tool of the marketing research under this perspective is to find out the consumer reactions about towards a company new products. And of course, and through such researches or the market research, the company will get to know the consumer's reaction, whether it would be happy, whether it would be sad, whether it would be, you can say, not interested. So in this way, the company evaluate the performances of their products. They can evaluate the stock and the pricing policies which has been adopted for you can say creating or for promoting a particular new product in the market. So after all, it almost evaluate the performances, whether it's related to the advertising, the sales promotion techniques, and whatever the channels of distribution, whether it will be the wholesalers, retailers, or any other business to business you can say activities that could be evaluate the performances through the market research. And the last one is miscellaneous need and importance. So the miscellaneous needs and importance is always related to the goodwill, the brand value of the particular company products in that particular or for the target audience. So through market research, it also improve the efficiency of the marketing department and when that how much the workload to whatever the workload is available for the employers or for the marketers, but definitely they will keep up the record of the efficiencies in that particular time period, and in this way, this will create the goodwill and the good reputation of the company. It also helps the marketing managers to take a rational and effective decisions. And of course, it also helps to choose a suitable staff for their research purposes or for the research and development processes of a particular product. It is also used to make up a growth and expansion programs, and of course, it's through such market research is not only benefit to the researchers or individuals or the learners, but also benefit to the company distributors, the advertising agencies, the consumers, the government, and the entire society, so that they can also focus the best to best product or choose the best to best product through doing up the research in a particular market or in that market perspective. This is the next section is the marketing research process. So overall, in the marketing research process, there are exactly the 9 steps. The first one is formulate the research problem. Next one is the method of inquiry. Third one is the to choose the research method. Fourth one is to determine the research design. Fifth one is the data collection techniques. Sixth one is a sample designing. You can see seventh one is a data collection methods. Then next, that is the eighth one, that is the data analysis and interpretation. And once the data analysis interpretation has been done, then the research report is to prepare. So these are the 9 steps which has to be followed for conducting a marketing research related to any research area or any of the research problem which exists in a market. Now we can come up to the first you can system is formulate the research problem. So after all, it is a first step of the overall market research process, and the research can be conducted with the basic problem, with the problems which already exist in a society or in the market. market or in the organization and try to formulate the particular problem in a very fresh mode. So this problem, whatever the problem exists, it's really need for the researcher to understand what would be the causes which is being to be diagnosed and what would be the solutions is needed to be developed. And most of the management programs are also are not even easy to help or to make it easy to research on a particular market problems. So the management problems are also exist. They can also translate into the research problems. So once a researcher approach the problem from any of the research area or a study, so definitely he'll always come forward for a particular solution as well. So once the you can say research problem has been created, now when the problem has been developed, so now the next step of a researcher is to prepare the research questions. A research questions which always gives a research direction and in which direction a particular researcher would go. So based on the research questions, the hypothesis which need to be the assumptive statements or the assumptive facts or the declarative statement is to be formulated so that they can guide up the research process. So hypothesis is always include a statement whether they can show up any relationships or any association between the two or more variables so that it will reveals the expected outcomes of the study through testing of the relationships between two or more variables in a particular research area. So these are the when we conduct a research problem. So these are the particular facts or parameters the particular researcher or the learner has to focus on it. So the first one is how to formulate the research problem. So when we talk about how to formulate the research problem, it is very important for a particular researcher or a learner to specify the research objectives. What would be the objectives of your research? What would be the objectives which are related to your research problems? So, in this way, the particular decision makers could evaluate your project and accordingly they can evaluate it whatever the objectives has been developed or has been formulated, they can reach up to the how to prove that objectives, how to fulfill that objectives through the data. Next one is review the environment in the context of the problem. That I identify that is there any environmental factors, whether it would be the technological factors, whether it would be the economic factors, whether it would be the social factors or the technological factors, which actually affect the research project or not. So this is also the important parameter to understand about the research problem. Next one is to explore the nature of the problem, that what nature it relate to. The research problem range from simple to complex. So it totally depends on the researcher whether he or she has to make up or to prepare the research problem in a simplified manner or in a complex manner. So it totally depends on the number of variables, that how much the variables, whether two or three variables has been decided by the researcher and what nature of their relationship has to be maintained. So once you understand the nature of the problem, being as a researcher, you can easily develop a solution of the problem. So the next one is to define the variable relationships. So it is very important to determine that which variables is actually affect the solution of the problem. So in order to determine the degree that at what level the each variable can be controlled and how to determine the functional relationships between between the variables. It is very important that how and under what variables are need to be or what variables are to be considered to determine their sort of relationship between them. And the next one is the consequences of the alternate course of action. So there are various consequences there are various concerns. So on which a particular researcher can choose a course of action on the same. So it is very important to anticipate and communicate the possible outcomes of the various course of action or whatever the alternatives are available so that they can apply to complete or term as a primary responsibility of the research process. Next one is method of inquiry. So now the second you can say step is that to identify the which method is to be used for their researches. So the scientific method is a standard pattern of the investigation of a particular problem. So automatically such method which always provides an opportunity for a particular user or a particular individual or a researcher to use the existing knowledge which are available at a starting level and proceed, you can say, and proceed step by step. So the scientific methods includes around the 6 steps. The first one is formulate the problem, then develop the assumptive statements or the declarative statement related to the two or more variables, and then making up the predictions on the basis of the hypothesis, then test the hypothesis, then conduct any statistical test, whether it will be the t-test, v-test, z-test, etc., or the chi-square test, and accordingly they can analyze the result. So this is a method of inquiry or the method of investigation by following up these 6 steps. Whatever the technologies are to be used in the marketing research is very similar to the stages which are being followed in a particular research process. So there might be a differences in the particular steps which are going to be performed by the individual. Some of the studies apply the scientific method. Some of the studies are also based on the objective based researches like quantitative researches, and somewhere the qualitative and the some others perspective. There are mixed approach method or method is to be used in a particular research. Now we can come up to the next third step is research methods. So there are two primary methodologies which are used in a various types of research or to answer any research questions. That could be the experimental research and the non-experimental research. When we talk about the experimental research are those type of researchers who are trying to control extraneous variables, the variables which have no control of anything. And easily the data or the variables can be manipulated and ultimately it influences the overall process which a particular researcher is ready to implement for his study. And such type of research are called the experimental research, where such researchers which always gives the advantage to control those variables which have no control. In this particular research, the particular researcher can manipulate one or more variables which ultimately influence the entire research process. Next one is the non-experimental research, which is always based on observation but not intervention. So you can just simply observe, and whatever you have observed, you just report on your findings. You just use that observations, facts, whatever the facts and figures which has been observed by you, that could be used for your findings. And that's called the non-experimental research, design or research. The next one is research design. That would be the fourth step. The research design is the overall blueprint of the whole research, where it includes the methods and the materials of the study, that how the study would goes on in the next of the periods. So it is a define a specific methods is or the procedures is to be used by the researcher in order to input the information you actually needed. Next one is the data collection techniques. So automatically the researcher could adopt a various ways to collect the data. So basically, marketing research, there are two most important methods are interviews and observation. So the interviews are basically just to ask the questions and then receive the responses, and that responses will be used in your findings. And the common mode of research communication through interviews include uh, face-to-face interview, by mail interview, by telephonic interview, by email or over the internet or the video call or video conferencing, etc. So this broad category or the broad techniques, research techniques are actually known as survey research. And the survey research are used in both either experimental research or the non-experimental research. So this survey research can be used in both the types of the main researches. Next one is the another type of data to collect is observation and observing the person company, whether it's related to the past or the present or it's related to the any sort of behavior in the present or past scenario. So that can be used to predict their future purchasing decisions. And automatically this particular context will be applied to the customers as well. So if any company is ready to evaluate the consumers or the customers' past and present behavior, definitely they can use the observation method of collecting the responses from the customers or consumers. So data collection techniques for the past behavior can also include or to analyze the company reports, the trends, their particular marketing strategies, their marketing trends, and review the studies so that whatever the presented by the external sources in order to evaluate the performances of the company. Next one is sample design. So sample design, in order to design your sample, it is very important to answer the three main questions. From which base population is the sample is to be selected, whether it would be the urban population, whether it would be the rural population, whether it would be the suburban population, that a particular researcher has to decide at which base population is your sample for your study. What is the method for sample collection? Which method is to be used? Whether it would be the you can say observation method, whether it would be the interview method. That depends on the particular research problem or the research topic. And next is what would be the size of the sample? It could be the 100 participants, it could be the 100 subjects or respondents or participants, or could be 200, could be 500 as well. It depends that how much the base of the samples that or the size of the sample that particular researcher has to consider. But once by questioning of these, you can say by questioning, by finishing up these questionnaires and whatever the response that we have decided, so automatically there are two methods to choose that is called the sampling technique. That through such techniques we will collect the data. The two techniques are of the sampling, that is the probability and the non-probability sampling. The probability method is totally involves to include each and every participant within the larger population. But non-probability is the or involve the selection of the sample is totally based on the judgment of the investigator, and of course this could be done according to their convenience or any other methods which are doesn't fit for. So that is called the non-probability sampling. So probability sampling, it's like involve every participant for its own study in the process in order to collect the responses. But non-probability, it's not like that. It totally depends upon their own convenience, depends upon their judgments, and accordingly the samples are to be collected, or the responses from the particular samples are to be collected. And once the techniques has been decided, then the final stage will come up by the researcher is to determine the appropriate sample size. That what could be the sample size? It could be 100, it could be 50, it could be 200, it could be 500 also. It depends upon the need of the research. Next one, once we decide the sample design, where we have decided the technique of sampling, we have decided the sample size, we have decided the base of the population. So the next step is we have already, and the next step is to, in order to collect the data, then analyze and interpretation. So in order for data to be useful, it is very important to analyze that data. So and there are plenty of analyzing techniques, and it totally and their effectiveness totally depends on what type of information and data actually a researcher is collecting, and depend upon the type of measurement they are actually using for the questionnaires. So they are automatically the particular analysis techniques are totally dependent on the data collection, and then accordingly the analyzing techniques will be used. It could be the statistical techniques which relate to the parametric and the non-parametric tests. So it depends that how it depends on the level of the, you can say, measurements, and the you can say the type of data or the nature of data is actually depends. Once we analyze and interpretation the data, and the last step of the process of marketing research is prepare the research report. The research report is always include the particular overall the information, including the accurate description of your research process, the results, the conclusion, the recommendations, the implications of the study, and the conclusion. So automatically report provides the all the information so that for the decision makers, and in order to understand the question, it should be written in a language which is very easy to understand, and it is important to find a balance between the completeness and the conciseness. So it is very important to understand in order to finish the research report, you need to understand the balance, that how to find out the balance between the completeness and the conciseness. The next step or the next section of the marketing research is the scope of marketing research. The research is to be done based on market, the research is to be done based on advertising, the research is to be done on pricing, on distribution, on product, on sales method, policy, on business environment and corporate responsibility. So let's have a small overview of all these seven points which comes under the scope of marketing research. The first one is research on market. So the research on markets or research on the market studies, which totally involves the current trends and the products. So it could be compare the both type of market, whether the current market or the potential market. But it is very important in order to understand that what areas are actually needed to analyze when it comes to research on markets. The size of the market, the analysis of the market share, selecting the target market, then analyze the need and demand for new products. And once to get the analyze the needs and demand, then come to the setting sales territories and points, then assess the current market trends and then accordingly project the future market trends. Next one is research on advertising. So there are plenty of researchers, there are plenty of research areas which are related to the, you can say, advertising studies. There, that is a selection of media, advertising tools, where the particular researcher can ready to research on that. That is the selection of media used in a various organization, selection of the advertising channels, studying the promotion elements, how what would be the positive and negative effects of advertisement in the society and the market. So these are the research areas where a particular researcher can choose these areas and they can conduct the research on these topics or areas. Next one is research on pricing. Even the researcher can also choose the pricing level and how the consumers choose the prices while purchasing the product. So a proper research is to be made on pricing, how the company choose the pricing level of their new product. This is also the a research area. You can see the particular researcher can do a research on it. So there are various study areas where a researcher can conduct studies, like studying the pricing policies of a new products, how they will study the major offers and discount areas, how they can compare the quality and prices of the existing and the new products. They can view how they will analyze the use of various strategies to set up the prices, what would be the pricing strategies will be adopted, how the pricing strategies and what pricing strategies has been adopted on the different stages of the product life cycle and the new product and the pricing policies as well of the particular organization. Research on distribution. So there are plenty of areas where a particular researcher can goes on analysis, like studying the various distribution channels, what sort of channels are to be used in the various organization or in a particular selected organization. Selecting from the direct or indirect distribution channels, how they can study online marketing tools, how they can apply the artificial intelligence tools for an online marketing purposes. They can study the factors and strategies used for distribution policies, how they can analyze the physical distribution and series services used in the particular or a selected organization by the researcher. They can also opt for the legal issues related to the distribution in a particular you can say state, or you can opt for a country as well. So these are the research areas which are related or based on distribution. Next one is research on products. So, of course, there are plenty of research areas or study areas. A particular researcher can conduct a research on, that is the characteristics of the product, the uses of the product, how they can study the other competitors which are available, which are exist in the market, how they can study the problems of the consumers who are actually facing while buying a product in that market, what would be the life cycle of the products, packaging, sales, and after sales services in the market, how they can determine the uses of the existing products, how they can analyze the need for a new product development in the market or for the consumers or for the society as well. They can also analyze the product life cycle of a particular product using the marketing techniques like SWOT analysis, pestle analysis, etc. Now they can come up to study all the consumer adoption, you can say studies on a particular you can say a type of products like cosmetic products, I could say, you can say the beverages products, etc. So this is how the particular researcher or a learner can opt any research topic based on the products as well. Next one is research on sales methods and policies. So there are plenty of research on sales method and policies can be conducted or can be related to the sales of the product. So for a sales, the distribution of product is very important, and accordingly, the strategies are to be developed and used for the sales so that they can improve the overall business and increase the profits. So there are plenty of research areas which can be discussed for the research so that the researcher you can prepare a report on these considering these particular study areas that study the sales methods which are currently used in the organizations in terms of products on existing or the new products or making a comparison of it, analysis of the sales report, how the company could manage the sales force in respect of their size, in respect of their control, etc. How they can study the sales department of a particular or selected organization, the study of advertisements that we can say incoming customers traffic, how they can study an activity and effectiveness of a sales method. So these are the areas which are study areas where researcher could conduct studies on these topics. Research on business environment and corporate responsibility, which is a last scope of the marketing research. So after all, it is a study related to the marketing problems. The problems which are related to the societies, which are related to the organization who act as a responsible, you can say, uh, organization for the welfare of the society. So it is this study is conducted for the big businesses and accordingly they analyze the data and how they can work on implementing the business or developing the business strategies and how they work accordingly to save the environment of the you can say businesses to save or to take immediate steps for the welfare of the for the welfare of the society or the customers. So there are plenty of concerned areas which are actually involved for or ready to analyze on. The first one is availability of the product related resources, the long term and the short term goals of the businesses, what would be the social, financial, and the cultural factors which affect the businesses and how the various you can say variables, the social economic variables like income, economic growth, the policies which are used for the businesses, how they impact on the environment of the businesses and act as a corporate responsibility. What will be the impact of the acts and legal provisions on the business environment? What would be the studying? What would be the technological aspects you can see of the organization of the business environment and how they can able to develop and act as a corporate responsible organization. These are the limitations of the marketing research. That marketing research is a very costly affair. It's a very expensive as well. It is also a lengthy and a very time-consuming process. But it also third limitation. It has a limited scope. It has a limited practical value. In doing up the marketing research, it is very difficult to predict the consumer behavior. Such researches, marketing research does not give you the 100% accurate research. Even the none of the researches related to psychology, related to management, commerce, and finance doesn't give any 100% accurate results. It also provides suggestions, not solutions. So it's a not. It also one of the limitation is that if there is no qualified and experienced staff is available, that becomes a limitation of the marketing research. It uses the fragmented approach. It can be misused by the other researchers or other decision makers. A non-availability of the reliable data. It is very difficult to depend or to trust on the data which has been shown through the market research. That is also the one of the limitation. And it is resistant to the marketing managers. After all, we are doing the marketing research, the marketing managers, the marketing related advisors. They have a resistance to use such research rather than and restricted to other fields or other specializations or disciplines. So these are the 12 limitations of the marketing research. Now we can come up to the user's perspective of marketing research. So after all, it is very important to understand the user needs and preferences. So when we talk about to understand, it could be understand to do a market research on products and services. We need in order to understand what users want and need, and accordingly, the company will develop the products and services so that they can meet up their demands, improve the user experiences. So while understanding that how the users interact with the products and services, business can also identify the areas for the betterment to create a more positive environment or friendly experience for the customers, for the users. Next one is personalized experiences also helps the businesses so that they can focus on the marketing efforts or the product offerings to the specific groups which are actually leads to a better or the you can say a positive personalized experiences. Next one is informed decision making. It is very important for the user's perspective as well that it reduces the risk. Market researchers always helps the business to take up an informed decisions by providing the accurate data or insights about the market, and accordingly, once the organization get the insights and accurate data, so definitely the level of risk will be reduced by launching of the new products and services. Strategic planning, it is very important to understand the behavior and the market trends, the strategies, the effective strategies, marketing strategies, and business plans are to be needed to develop. Next one is research allocation. The market research is also helps the businesses that how they can and in what you can say ways they can allocate the resources more effectively in order to identify that which product, services, or marketing channels are more likely to succeed. Next one is building stronger relationship. The first one is customer focus. So it totally depends upon the marketing research that how they will take care about their businesses, about their needs, how they can build up the trust and loyalty with the customers. Next one is open communication. It is very important to take a feedback from all of the customers or the consumers, and in this way the business create a culture of the open communication to share the feedbacks by the customer, and they can work on the more and more betterments of you can say for the customers. Continuous improvement. The marketing research provides an ongoing feedback. So whatever the feedback is going on face-to-face communication, which also helps the business continuously to improve their products, services, and marketing efforts. So when we go to the shopping complex and let's go to the you can say any of the lifestyle showroom or any of the Puma showroom. So if you don't like anything or you need that further improvement can be made in this particular product, you can share your feedback, ongoing feedback, and accordingly, the particular shopkeeper will record that feedback and try to improve their products and services in the future. So this is how a stronger relationship can be built up with the users, with the customers through the market research. So this is a way that market research can also improvise the users' experiences, the users, and change the user's perspective and through research. Now we can come on to the next and the last session, last particular section, that is called the application of the marketing research. The marketing segmentation and targeting. So marketing research is always helps how to identify the different groups of customers with their social demographic variables, their needs and preferences level, and such you can say segmentation. You get the segregation of the groups, which always helps to prepare effective marketing strategies and what they can offer to these specific groups or the segments, and which in order to increase the customer engagement and satisfaction. The next one is new product developments. And after all, market research is always helps to understand the market demand, the potential challenges faced by the organization, and the consumer expectation. So automatically, market research provides an invaluable insights to fill up the market gaps, how they can identify the customer's desires and the competitive offerings towards the development of the products, and how they can deal or identify and like engage with their target audience. Next one is brand perception and positioning. In order to understand and how much and how the consumers perceive, you can see a brand, which is a very crucial, you can say, process for any of the effective brand management. So automatically, the effective researches has to be done so that they can aware about their brand, about their association, about how they can build up the emotional connection with the customers or with the brand, and how the consumers could have an emotional connections with the brand. So with the and to getting up the information and data and responses, market research is very essential, and to develop the business strategy so that to identify the different perceptions of the different consumers and how they can differentiate from the competitors. Competitor, the next one is competitors analysis. So market research is always allow businesses to analyze the competitive strength, weakness, strategies, and how they will position their product in the market. So this knowledge can be achieved through the market research, and it could be done to open up the opportunities, to identify the opportunities, that how they will differentiate their you can say products from the competitors, and try to develop you can say a unique strategies to remain into a competitive environment. Next one is consumer behavior insights. So by studying the behavior, preferences, and the purchasing patterns, is in order to understand the market research is to be conducted. It always assists that how they can predict the trends and understand that about the consumers' decision making processes. And in this way, in order to understand this, the company marketing campaigns is to be conducted with their towards for or towards their target audience, and try to convert into a sales. Next one is the pricing strategy. So, in order to develop or to determine the right pricing strategies, it is very important to understand the customer perception of the value, how about their willingness to pay, and their price sensitivity. So, there are various statistical tools where the particular needed to analyze this perception, their willingness to pay, the price sensitivity, you can say level. The marketing research will always helps in setting up the competitive prices in order to understand the consumer's expectation and the market dynamics. The next one is the advertising and the promotions effectiveness. So research always evaluate that how much the impact of the advertising campaigns uh, through measuring the various matrices like ad recall, message comprehension, brand recognition, and such data will be provided by conducting the market research on advertising, on measuring the effectiveness of advertising and promotions in order to optimize their advertising efforts and how and in order to allocate the resources effectively towards the you can say products or creating the new products and services. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening this lecture. I'll come up with more and more interesting and the relevant topics related to these or upcoming blogs. So till time, thank you and namaste to all.